Good morning. It is good to be with you. The Sermon of the Month series was created by the UUA Congregational Life Small Congregation Task Force. It's a lot of words. To help support small congregations with quality worship services and resources, speakers will be members of the Congregational Life staff and other UUA staff groups or guest preachers from around the country. Today's reflection is adapted from the December Soul Matters subscription materials, and it includes an excerpt from the November Sermon of the Month, Mysteries Meeting Place, delivered initially by Reverend Heather Janules, a congregational consultant in the New England region. Every Christmas morning, my 10 brothers and sisters and I awoke to a glittering, glowing toy land of presents that covered the entire living room floor. Some wrapped and some pre-assembled. They awaited that magical moment when my father would read my mother's handwriting, pass them to us, and add them to the pile that proved just how much they loved us. Then they'd walk us outside to yet another new swing set, shiny bicycles or gaming consoles. One year, I got a used upright piano badly in need of tuning. On it, I played Brahms and Bach, Debussy and Beethoven, and I wrote tearful 80s power ballads to the plump red-headed girl who dumped me. Year after year, Ron and Barbara Roth laid out a fantasy of personalized love and enrichment, new clothes, and new dreams. I'd give all those happy memories away right now just to have my father back, to be in his presence, to hear his voice, to smell the tobacco smoke from the Newport cigarettes that took him from us. But we don't get to choose, do we? It's ours to hold, that space where presence kindles the flames of the sacred now. 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 Let me begin with a story. Recently, I found myself in a restaurant, observing a family at the next table. While the parents scrolled through their phones, their young child, full of wonder, pointed out a rainbow forming outside the window. "Look!" the child exclaimed. But the parents, absorbed in their screens, missed it. This scene struck me as a poignant metaphor for our times. We live in a world teeming with distractions. The devices in our hands and in our pockets promise connection, but often rob us of attention. Notifications buzz, emails ping, and we find ourselves constantly toggling between tasks, struggling to focus on what truly matters. In this whirlwind of activity, the present moment, the gift of now, slips through our fingers. This is not a modern challenge. Peter, the protagonist of Peter and the Golden Thread, also struggled with presence. Given a magical thread that could fast forward his life, Peter used it to escape moments of boredom or difficulty. Yet, as the years raced on, he realized he had missed the beauty and depth of living. His story reminds us that life's greatest gift is not found in rushing to the next milestone, but in embracing the richness of each moment. Religious traditions offer profound insights into the practice of presence. From the contemplative Christian tradition, Psalm 46, verse 10 beckons, Be still and know that I am God. This verse invites us to pause, to quiet our restless minds, and to encounter the divine in the stillness of now. In Buddhism, Thich Nhat Hanh writes, "The miracle is not to walk on water. The miracle is to walk on the earth in the present moment." These words challenge us to see the sacred in the ordinary, to recognize that each step, each breath is a holy act. From our Article 2 covenants and values, transformation, we adapt to the changing world. We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian and Universalist heritages, never complete and never perfect. Our third principle calls us to acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. What does this principle teach us about presence? First, it challenges us to accept ourselves and each other as we are, flawed, distracted, and human. Presence begins with acceptance, with the humility to say, I am here. I may not have it all figured out, but I am willing to show up. Rabbi Sharon Bruce is the founding and senior rabbi of ICAR, a Jewish community based in Los Angeles, and the author of the Amen Effect. I now read an excerpt from her January 2024 guest essay in the New York Times. Buried deep in the Mishnah, a Jewish legal compendium from around the 3rd century, is an ancient practice reflecting a deep understanding of the human psyche and spirit. When your heart is broken, when the specter of death visits your family, when you feel lost and alone and inclined to retreat, you show up. You entrust your pain to the community. The text, Middot chapter 2, verse 2, describes a pilgrimage ritual from the time of the Second Temple. Several times each year, hundreds of thousands of Jews would ascend to Jerusalem, the center of Jewish religious and political life. They would climb the steps of the Temple Mount and enter its enormous plaza, turning to the right, your right, en masse, circling counterclockwise. Meanwhile, the brokenhearted, the mourners, and here I would also include the lonely and the sick, would make the same ritual walk, but they would turn to the left, circling in opposite, counterclockwise. Every step against the current. And each person who encountered someone in pain would look into that person's eyes and inquire, what happened to you? Why does your heart ache? My father died, a person might say. There are so many things I never got to say to him. Or perhaps my partner left. I was completely blindsided. Or my child is sick. We're awaiting the test results. Those who walked from the right would offer a blessing. May the Holy One comfort you, they would say. You are not alone. And then they would continue to walk until the next person approached. This timeless wisdom speaks to what it means to be human in a world of pain. This year, you walk the path of the anguished. Perhaps next year, it will be me. I hold your broken heart, knowing that one day you will hold mine. This is what it means This is what presence means, what being present means. Encouraging spiritual growth requires us to go deeper. It invites us to see presence not just as a personal practice, but as a communal one. When we gather in this Cleary sanctuary, we are not merely sharing space. We are co-creating a sacred moment. By paying attention to one another with our eyes, our ears, and our hearts, we foster a community where spiritual growth can flourish through transforming our behavior and learning better ways to treat each other, especially the most vulnerable among us. I am deeply and personally struck by the profound presence of each person who walks into this Cleary sanctuary. I'm convinced that to my core, that each of you brings a devastatingly, earth-shatteringly, bolt from the blue gift of revelation and love and power, just by your courage to stand in this sacred now and declare your willingness to give it. We come and we go. But this now is connected to all the nows we've known and the distant nows yet to be shown. This eternal now is the presence we speak of today. To witness it and gasp in wonder, mouths gaping at the mystery we seek. Our you covenantal language acknowledges that direct experiences of transcending mystery and wonder are our primary sources of inspiration. These experiences are the presence life offers us. The awe of a starry sky, the warmth of a loved one's embrace, the joy of shared community action. But these presents can only be received when we bring our full presence to them. The story of Peter illustrates this beautifully. When Peter first uses the golden thread, he seeks to bypass life's challenges, hoping to find happiness in the future. But in doing so, he misses the inspirations embedded in everyday moments: his children's laughter, his mother's wisdom, and his wife's companionship. It was only when Peter resolved to live in the present that he discovered the richness of life's true gift. The sermon of the month for November featured Reverend Heather Janules from the UUA Congregational Life staff in the New England region. She shared 2 stories of transcending mystery and wonder about reclaiming the sacred from desecration, or finding it within the secular. As you listen, I hope you'll agree that it carries a poignant message for our congregation today. Presence becomes sacred when we intentionally look for those we might overlook and ask, "What happened to you? Why does your heart ache?" So how do we reclaim sacred presence in an age of constant distraction? Here are 3 practices to consider. Mindful pausing. Begin each and every day with a moment of stillness. Turn off your devices, close your eyes, and take 3 breaths. This simple act can ground you and prepare you to face the day with intention and the night with forbearance. Sacred listening. When in conversation or solitude, practice deep listening. When someone speaks, give them your undivided attention. Listen not just with your ears, but with your heart, neither offering advice or ways to fix them. Gratitude journaling. Each evening, write down 3 moments from your day from which you are grateful. This need not be grand events, a kind word, a shared meal, or a moment of quiet can be sources of deep inspiration. The practice of presence is not just about personal growth, it is about transformation. When we are fully present, we begin to see the sacred in the world around us. The mundane becomes miraculous. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. This awesome awareness calls us to action, to justice, to witness and restoration of sacred presence. As Rabbi Herschel wrote, our goal should not be to live life in radical, our goal should be to live life in radical amazement. Imagine what might happen if we carried this amazement into our relationships, our work, and our communities. Imagine a world where we treated every person, every moment, as a sacred gift. This is the work of presence, not just to receive the holy, but to bring it into the world. I leave you with this final thought. Presence is a gift we give ourselves and others. It is the act of saying, this moment matters. You matter. Life matters. In our busy, distracted world, presence is a revolutionary act. It makes the world stop and notice the light shining out of your every pore. In this season of light, a time when darkness yields to hope and flickering flames call us to wonder. In this glow, we remember the warmth of community, the guidance of wisdom, and the enduring power of love. May this flame inspire us to kindle light where shadows linger, to share joy where hearts are heavy, and to walk together through the longest nights. As the season of light surrounds us, may we carry its spirit forward, illuminating the world with peace, compassion, and hope. When we extinguish our chalice today, let us carry its light into the world. Where will you place your Buddha statue? How will you transform desecrated space into one of dignity and grace? We must strengthen our ties to other congregations, not isolate and differentiate. We must be a bastion of fresh thinking and liberal belief in the challenging years ahead for our country. Let us pay attention to the sacred presence in our lives and encourage one another in this holy work. My father worked with his hands his entire life, even when they ached and burned. His work is present through my hands now. For when we are fully present together in the embrace of our beloved community, we discover that life itself is the greatest gift of all. May it be so, and blessed be.